Jay, you're a piece of shit. A piece of shit. Oh, Jay, you suck.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Talking to Myself. I'm your host, Jake Letizia, and this is the podcast where I look into a camera and I talk to myself. How's it going, everybody? How you doing today? Good? I hope you're good. Hope wherever you are, you're safe and happy and healthy. How are ya? I guess I'm feeling kind of slow today. Feeling kind of tired, groggy, strange. I guess lately that's just how life has been. Very strange, very quiet, very well, not quiet. It's quiet if you turn all the social media off, you know? If you turn off the TV, don't look at your phone, and you just sit, it's quiet as fuck. Because we live in a strange time right now where the world's on fire, but nothing's going on. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, most people's lives are stagnant while the world's on fire. We got so many fucking problems to deal with in society, but you as the individual in your home, nothing's going on. You don't know what to do. You're just you stuck in one place. It feels like all of our lives are on a strange tangent right now. Doesn't it? Doesn't it feel like everything that you're doing day to day right now is leading to nothing? Like you're just waiting for something to reset or fix itself so that you can get back to whatever life actually is. Doesn't it feel that way? Maybe it's the lockdown, maybe it's COVID. Yeah, I mean that's what it is. What am I talking about? Maybe. That's what it is. It feels like everything, I mean so many jobs don't exist right now. So many people's livelihoods existed on jobs that cannot exist because of COVID. And the quicker we try to get back to normal, quote unquote, whatever the fuck that means, I guess that means going outside and being able to, maybe kiss a stranger. I mean, that's normal. I think that's what people mean when they say, let's get back to normal, too. I think people exaggerate too much of, like, what people's meaning is with that. Because some people are like, oh, let's get back to normal. People are like, well, normal was never good. And it's like, no, well, I think that person's just talking about being able to go to a bar again. Like, I think you're bringing in political implications that person isn't really even thinking about in their brain. They're just talking about like, oh, I just want to get back to the point where I can go to work and not worry about my bills and have a drink maybe to relax outside where other people are. I think that's what they mean. So strange. It's just a strange time right now. It just feels like we're in a weird limbo, and it feels like there's a feeding frenzy adding to that limbo. And also I wonder, because we're in this weird limbo, it just feels like everything that's happening right now does not matter and will not hold water. And maybe that's the reason why people are so aggressive right now in their behavior, because it's just like, hey, things might go back when the world resumes, when business resumes, when the day-to-day life that we used to have before COVID resumes. I won't be able to say any of the things I'm saying right now and be heard, so I might as well fucking shout it right now. I think that's a mentality going on in people's brains, whether they're conscious of it or not. It's everyone's looking everyone's listening right now because nobody has anything better to do. Or not even better to do. Nobody has anything required to do besides go on social media and be like, what's going on? What's this person shouting about? So might as well get my voice heard right now. And it's interesting because it started as just, it was COVID. And then that led into, and then George Floyd happened. And then that led into the protests. And that led into Black Lives Matter. And I think a lot of necessary screaming, a lot of necessary voices to be yelled. And now I think, there is necessary in a lot of the cancellations that are happening. But also it feels like there's a lot of just like, hey, I want to scream something. I want to be a part of the noise. I think that is part of it. I think right now there's a lot of like, hey, let's take down this person that should have been taken down a while ago. And then I think there's other people who are like, hey, let's just take that guy down. Let's just take this person down. Did he actually do anything? I don't know. I'll make something up. Of course, it's not always the case, but it's interesting. It's interesting because right now we're getting cases of all of them. We're getting cases of legitimate, like, hey, dude, why are you messaging those people? Hey, dude, those girls are young. We're getting that. And then we're also getting people screaming and saying Justin Bieber did something where he comes back with receipts and is like, that didn't happen at all. It's straight up false. It's a weird time right now. We're getting all this stuff about I guess what happens with all these things is you question the motivation behind it. Like what is the motivation behind calling certain things out? Because we're reaching an interesting time right now, or interesting point where it's like some of the things that people are pointing out as cancellations are just, unfortunately, a part of our American history now. Like 30 Rock. So there's a lot of stuff that has blackface in it that's getting pointed out right now. And NBC in particular. NBC loved blackface, apparently. All of their fucking mainstream network TV shows had some sort of blackface in it. Which is interesting in itself, but so Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon, they're both instances of them doing blackface. Jimmy Fallon was on SNL doing Chris Rock. Jimmy Kimmel was on The Man Show, which was Comedy Central. Doing I'm forgetting the basketball player's name. But he's doing blackface of a basketball player. He also was on the radio doing a black voice and saying the N-word. Like I think he was doing a parody where he was pretending to be Snoop Dogg. Howard Stern did blackface, said the N-word. And then there's instances on 30 Rock of blackface, and The Office had one scene of blackface. Now The Office is the only show where I actually know what the specific instance is. It's Christmas. It's also interesting because it's the last season. It's not like early in the show's run. It's like the final season of the show had an instant of blackface, which is which is close to now, dude. I mean, I understand why people see it and go, what the fuck? Especially if you're somebody out of context, just you're a young person now seeing it going, hey, what? What is this? And that's why I'm also interested on who are the people who start it. How old is the person who starts something like this? Like, is it somebody who didn't know that the Man Show existed or didn't know? Is it somebody young who goes, hey, what's going on with this? Or is it somebody who's old enough to know, like, oh, yeah, old enough to have seen that on TV, but now in this moment is like, well, we should bring this back up and say, hey, this is fucked up. I wonder who the person is that starts the whole thing. Because it's hard to tell, because what happens is one person says it, then everybody says it, and then you're like, all right, well, who started the mob? But it's an interesting thing because the blackface stuff, I think it should be called out. It should be, of course, I think it should be brought to people's attention. Of like, hey, dude, we just did this stuff. That's not cool to do. But then what troubles me and what makes me go, are we actually trying to learn from this sort of stuff and move past it, or are we actually trying to have like a discussion about how we perceive race in our country if we do things like, oh, 30 Rock has blackface episodes in it. Let's erase the blackface episodes. But then you leave all of the show on Hulu. I think that's a weird, sort of fascistic way to go about it. I mean, that's like a book burning type of thing right there. It's like, hey, we don't agree with this, so let's erase it from history. But then you create, I think you're not thinking of what's to come. You know, I don't think I think when you erase the blackface episodes of 30 Rock out of shame, you end up creating this weird moment 20 years from now where somebody's watching 30 Rock and they're like, oh, I love this show. And then they find out, because you can't truly erase anything now in the age of the internet. Those episodes exist somewhere online. And then you create this moment for somebody 20 years in the future who's like, oh, I love that old show 30 Rock. And then they find out on some site deep on the internet, like, oh, there's actually blackface episodes of that show. And then the person goes, what do you mean? And then it becomes this thing of like, why did you hide those episodes? And then because of time, it makes it a more nefarious thing that you tried to hide these things. It becomes you hiding it rather than you erasing it because you think it's no good. Also, I don't think that helps. I think you're just creating fans that don't know. That's a part of the show's DNA. It's a part of the show's history, that it made mistakes and did things that the creators now go, we shouldn't have done that. And in a historical context, I think you need that. You need to look at a show and go, hey, this is a primetime NBC show. This is something that I really like, but also it's got this stuff in it that I don't like. And what does that mean? It means that you can recognize what's good about that show and what's not so good about that show, and that's also part of progress. Also, a lot of these blackface depictions are people making fun of. It's usually a character doing blackface, and the joke is, why the fuck you shouldn't be doing that. Like, if the joke is on the white person who thinks it's okay to do blackface. Right? So, which is which is progress from someone back in the day just straight up doing blackface because they want to steal the identity of a black person. Like, so the depiction of blackface in 30 Rock, in The Office, the depiction is, again, it's a joke of a white person thinking it's okay to do something like that, and then everyone else in the show being like, it's not okay to do something like that. For The Office, it's Dwight's throwing his version of Christmas, which is apparently rooted in an actual Christmas celebration. I don't know. I forget what he's drawing it from. If it's some German tradition or something like that. I don't know. Belschnickel or whatever. But anyway, it's Belschnickel instead of Santa Claus, and it has all this weird, fucked up things that Santa Claus doesn't do, like he hits people with a stick and all this weird shit. Anyway, he has a helper that's somebody usually depicted in blackface, right? So Oscar reads it on the internet and goes, Dwight, no, you're not going to have somebody come in here and do that. And Dwight goes, of course not. Why would I do that? And then he texts somebody on his phone, and then it cuts to someone in the parking lot in blackface reading a text and then doing a 180 and going back in his car and driving away. So the joke there is, hey, Dwight's fucking ignorant. Or like, oh, look, like the joke is making fun of ignorant white people. Which is progress from people just straight up doing blackface with no joke, just, hey, I'm playing a black character, which is fucked, which is so fucked, But here's the thing, I don't know, it's one of those things where it's like, if somebody watches The Office, they should come across that episode and go like, "Oh wow, this is not good." Like that's a part of progress, is the fact that there used to be the fact that we look at minstrel shows now and we go, "That's disgusting." That's progress, and the fact that then society thought, oh, well, making fun of the fact that people use blackface, that there's a time where that was funny and okay, and now we look at that and we go, oh, just even making fun of it is still gross. So that's another layer of progress, that we can look at that and go, oh, that's still gross. But the thing is, we don't erase the fact that minstrel shows exist. We know they exist. And I think 30 Rock is doing a strange thing where, because it's recent and because the people who are close to it are alive right now, they're allowing their shame to try and eradicate something that should be there for posterity. Is that the right word? It should be there for history's sake, of like, hey, your favorite primetime show was fucked. And we should recognize the areas in which it's fucked and learn from the mistakes of that. Also, it's a weird thing because I think the targets are strange in some of these things, because it's like Jimmy Fallon. People got mad at Jimmy Fallon, or they're trying to cancel Jimmy Fallon, or they were, or they won't. I don't know. It's a strange thing too, because it's a lot of like, hey, let's bring up, I don't know. Some of this stuff is like, I guess the question is, at what point are you being vitriolic, and at what point are you, I guess it all comes down to, what is your intention? If you bring up Jimmy Fallon was in blackface doing Chris Rock, I think that's a good thing to bring up. I don't think that's a bad thing to bring up. Hey, it wasn't too long ago when you were doing Chris Rock on SNL and everyone was laughing. That's strange, and that's not okay. And that shows, hey, if you could be doing that on SNL and it's accepted, it means that we aren't aware enough of how we aren't in tune enough with all of America's points of view, right? If someone can do that and it be okay, it means that, like, hey, you don't have enough voices looking at that being like, hey, I don't know if that's cool. You know what I'm saying? It might be too many white people writing the show going, hey, yeah, let's put you in blackface. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's good to point out. But then when it turns into, hey, Jimmy Fallon should be fired, he should not have his show, because of him being Chris Rock on SNL. That's when it gets weird for me, because it's like the blame is on a lot of people. It's not like Jimmy Fallon wrote, "Hey, I'm going to be Chris Rock," and then Lorne Michaels was like, "I mean, I guess that's what you're going to do." Like, Lorne Michaels was like, "Yeah, that's a good sketch." All the writers were like, "Okay, guess we're doing this." You know, Jimmy Fallon sat in makeup for hours. I don't know how long he sat in makeup, but he sat in makeup long enough for other people to apply blackface onto him. Like, there are a lot of people who were complicit with that decision. And if anything, there were people above Jimmy who decided that that was going to definitely be a sketch that night on the show. And then that becomes my question too, because a lot of people who call out this stuff are comedians, are like lower level comedians. And then I wonder, I wonder about the targets. Are they going after Jimmy Fallon because they don't want to go after NBC, because what they want is for Jimmy Fallon not to have a job, but one day for them to maybe get that job? You know what I'm saying? Is it, don't attack the corporation, the entity, because I may want a job from that one day? Is that what it is? Like I don't know if that's what it is. I don't think that's what it is for everybody. I think everyone has different intentions with this stuff. I think some people truly bring it up because they're like, hey, this is a fucked up part of our history. Let's not repeat this. Let's be aware. Also, right now is a good time. Hey, clearly, police brutality is fucked up, and right now, people are listening to the Black Lives Matter movement. People are listening to black voices right now. So now is a good time to say, hey, look at these depictions that weren't too long ago, and examine it a little bit, and examine yourselves, and examine why we thought this was okay as a society. I think that's great, and I think that's good. But I guess I think that the erasing of it is just another white guilt thing. It becomes just another, like, I think it becomes a thing that adds to racism. I think looking at 30 Rock and erasing those blackface episodes becomes a continuance of white guilt and suppression that just continues racism. Because instead of confronting, hey, instead of Tina Fey confronting, hey, I shouldn't have wrote that. Or maybe I should have consulted more people. Maybe I should have figured out how people really feel about that. Or maybe it's a moment of going, hey, it's weird that we were okay with that. And what does it mean that now we're not okay with that? Is that progress? I think it is. I think now people seeing depictions of blackface and for the most part universally going, hey, that's not good. I think that's progress. I think that's a good thing. I think the fact that right now people are hesitant to not at all going to do blackface, I think that's a good thing. And that comes from seeing an episode of 30 Rock like that and going, hey guys, that we shouldn't have done that. You know? And to then erase the episode is to go, hey, don't look at my mistakes. You know? I don't know. It's a hyperbolic comparison, but like, I don't know. I had a friend in high school, or I had a friend who I went to high school with, who then I talked to her outside of high school. We're still friends, but I talked to her a couple of years ago. I got into an argument with her, or discussion. It wasn't really an argument. I mean, I was disagreeing with her, but it wasn't like aggressive or anything. It was a polite argument. But we talked about, she was saying that they shouldn't teach certain elements of history because it just gets people mad. Now, I said, no, I don't agree with that at all, because I think that if you hide history from people and then they find it out, that's much worse and more nefarious than showing people, hey, this is our history. Let's not let it repeat itself. If you hide history, it just repeats itself. If you don't bring things to the forefront and go, hey guys, let's all talk about and discuss and realize why this is wrong together, then what happens is it just gets hidden and distorted and shown to people in certain ways where people might think it's okay. And that's not good. So I don't think anything should be hidden. And then I saw recently my friend posting something that said, hey, this is our history, the Holocaust, showing all these different things. It was that meme, or not meme, but it was that post that was like, the Holocaust was legal, police brutality was legal, like all these terrible things were illegal, you know? Gay marriage was illegal, saying like the law isn't always right. And I was like, oh, wow, what a progression for this person who I had a discussion with a couple of years ago saying, hey, they shouldn't teach certain history in the school because it just gets people mad. She's now posting a post that says our history and points out our history and says, hey, this is an example of our history being fucked up, and let's recognize like, hey, not what we think is right isn't always right. And I think things like 30 Rock having blackface in television shows not too long ago, NBC shows, I don't know what's going on with NBC, maybe we should take them more to task than the individuals hired by them. You know, they also hired the people who wrote sketches like that or did this or did that. Like, you know, NBC is at huge fault, I think, a little bit. Anyway, but the fact that we see something like that, I think, is another example of, oh, just because we thought it was okay doesn't mean it was. And I think that's the important thing to do in moments like this. Not to erase things, but to bring people's attention to things and go, hey, this is not okay. You know? And I guess the hyperbolic comparison that I was going to make is like, you wouldn't... Right now, there's issues in school of us not teaching enough things, right? Us not, like, we learn slavery in school, but I don't think we learn enough about it. And that's always the answer, is not to hide these things, is not to go, hey, the atrocities that America has committed, let's not teach that as much in school. No, the answer right now is let's teach more about our country's troubled past. Let's teach that more directly to kids in school, because that's the only thing that makes it so that people understand the impact or understand the effect that certain things that happen have on society. And so something like this, again, I know I just fucking talked about it for a half hour and maybe I'm beating a dead horse, but again, something like this, something like 30 Rock with those episodes, it's something that you should show in a film history class or on a history of television class as like, hey, look how look at this show that you love. Look what's wrong with it. I just think that, I think things being a teachable moment is better than erasing things entirely from our past and then just having history repeat itself. Anyway, I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. I might have just sound like a stupid fucking asshole for a half hour. Who knows? Blackface is bad, guys. That's what I'm trying to say. I think that should be very clear to people, right? I mean, come on, at this point, can we at least all agree on that? Can we at least all hold hands together and go, hey guys, blackface is not good? Can we at least do that? Can we at least have that progress in our society? I'll be the first one to say it. I think it's bad. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the second half. Yeah, see you in a second. All right, what's up? We're back. All right. Now that I've talked about I filled my quota of shit I don't know anything about, talking about shit I don't know anything about. Now that I filled that quota, my politics quota on the podcast, my fucking half hour of politics discussion out of nowhere on this podcast. Now that I filled that up, let's talk about some silly things. Oh man. Don't do blackface, okay? Okay, guys? Don't do it. That's what I was trying to say with that first half. Just don't do it, okay? Stop. If for some reason you find yourself buying a certain kind of makeup, go think for a second and go, "Oh no, don't do that." It's not going to be funny in the way you think, okay? It's just going to be upsetting. I think we've all come to an understanding at this point, right? Right? Let's all agree that we have. We've all come to an understanding. Don't do that. Anyway, what's up, guys? Let's talk about some sillier topics. Why not? The world's on fire. I've been plenty serious the first half of this podcast. Let's get silly now, guys. If you've made it to this half, we're gonna keep it silly. I just talked about a ton of shit that I actually wrote down on here, which is interesting. I don't know. In other political news, The Last of Us. Yeah, I guess I want to talk about this, The Last of Us. The Last of Us is such a controversial fucking thing right now, and it's so sad that that's controversial. Like, with all of the fucking serious topics in the world, like this serious controversial shit in the world, it's so depressing and silly that The Last of Us is controversial in any way, shape, or form. Yeah. I don't know. There's a lot of things. It's just like, here's the thing about this game, is that there are legitimate fucking problems with it. There are legitimate narrative flaws with the game. Okay? And like The Last Jedi, although I don't like the comparison because I had very different experiences with both of those things. I liked The Last Jedi. I did. I thought it subverted. I know people don't like that's a dirty word, subvert expectations. But I thought the ways in which they did that in the movie were interesting for the most part. I would say I definitely had critiques of that movie. I definitely don't think it was perfect. There's certain things in that movie that I'm like, this is not the best. I think Rose's character doesn't have any flaws at all in the movie, and that ends up becoming dehumanizing for a character to not have any flaws. I think it's done with good intention. Oh, let's have this like very perfect character, but then it does become strangely misogynistic in its own way because you're purposefully writing a female character with no flaws, but you're dehumanizing the character because everyone has flaws. Everyone has things that are wrong with them, and that is largely what makes us connect with characters is the fact that they're not flawless. Having said that, I liked Rose's character. I just wish they added more dimension to her where she had fucking, and they could have done that in Rise of Skywalker, but instead they went, nah, dude, let's fucking just keep her on the side. I don't know. They could have added dimension. I'm sure she would have loved more dimension added to her character. Although I don't know if she would have because she got a lot of fucking hate. Yeah. Anyway, I like The Last Jedi. I like a lot of the story choices they make in that movie. I don't know if maybe it's because I don't have as much of a connection with Star Wars. I don't know. Because The Last of Us, I don't like a lot of the decisions they made. While I think they're interesting decisions, I don't think that they work. I think that they take a lot of large swings with that game, and they do a lot of things that they perceive as groundbreaking. But I think in their execution, they're not as groundbreaking or interesting as some might believe them to be. Now, I like the game a lot. Like I would rate the story a 6 and the video game itself like a 9.2. I liked the game. I still play it. I like the gameplay. I think it's great. There are certain aspects of the story that are fucking incredible and on par with the first game. There are certain elements of the story that truly are affecting and great and make me cry every time I get across that part in the game. I don't understand why we've gotten to this point, and maybe it's just, I don't know, like what I talked about. I mean, it just seems like everything is so political. Everything is so fucking, let's yell at each other. That even a video game becomes this weird political shitty discussion where it shouldn't be. It should just be, do you like the game or not? You don't like the game? Okay. You do like the game? Great. Like, for the people who hate the game, don't yell at Laura Bailey for it. It's like, I think Abby is a difficult character to like. Even with all the work they do towards trying to make you sympathize with her, I think at the end of the day, for a lot of people, they go, hey, I don't... By the way, spoilers for The Last of Us. I'm sorry that I didn't say that already. But if you didn't play The Last of Us, you don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But if you did play The Last of Us, you will know what the fuck I'm talking about. Abby is a character, spoilers, that murders a beloved character in the first game. From the first game. In this game, she murders a beloved character that you play as for the majority of the first game within the first 2 hours of this new game. Right? Then the game has you play as her for about 10 hours to try and justify her slaughtering, her brutal murdering of a character that you love, so that you can, empathize with the villain. Or try and empathize with the villain. And try and see like, oh, no one's a villain, it's all gray. Everyone has a reason for what they do. The game is trying to do that, right? And I appreciate that, but it doesn't succeed for a lot of people because Abby brutally murders Joel in a way that is irredeemable. Like if you made a movie about a guy who fucking murders a child, right? And then you spend that movie justifying or showing reasons why he murdered that child. You go, oh, okay, I see why he did that, but also he still has to go down. It's like the Joker, right? If you watch, and that's the fucking strange thing, man. That's the strange thing. I saw this with... The Joker and Hustlers came out at the exact same time, right? And I saw something with Joker where a lot of people who praised the movie were like, would also admit and also said, hey, Joker's a bad guy. Like Joaquin Phoenix, it's a movie about someone, like the movie is showing you how someone can be pushed to madness and pushed to do terrible things. The movie is showing you how and having you be connected with and kind of be on the side of the villain, right? But while you're on the side of the villain, you still understand that's a villain. That's a bad person. At the end of the day, even though the Joker, you can see where he's coming from, you go, but he needs to be taken down still. Batman needs to fucking take him down. Okay? Now, and Hustlers came out at the same time, and Hustlers, I saw a lot of reviewers saying that Hustlers was empowering to women. That the characters in Hustlers, who are also bad people, very much like the Joker, they're not good people. Granted, I'm speaking out of my asshole slightly on this one because I haven't seen Hustlers. But from those who I know who love the movie, they've all said like, oh, it's like Goodfellas. It's a movie about bad people. Right? You see why they are the way they are, but at the end of the day, they're not people you want to be or you should look up to. But I saw a lot of reviews for Hustlers saying things like this movie's empowering to women. Like looking at the movie in a skewed, kind of fucked up way. Like looking at Hustlers and saying you would want to be these women is like looking at Joker and saying you'd want to be the Joker. Like, you don't, that's not good. It'd be like me as an Italian watching Goodfellas and going, oh, these guys are empowering to Italian people. No, they're not. They're criminals. You know? They're born into the mafia, okay? And they get into it for certain reasons, but they're bad. And I'm fully aware of that. And it seems like The Last of Us Part 2 is trying to do this thing where it's like, we don't want you to think like, oh, they're bad. We want you to think, oh, even though they're bad, they're good. Like The Last of Us Part 2 is like if Joker wants you to like agree with the Joker by the end of the movie. You know what I'm saying? And that's the problem with this game, is that by the end, Ellie, if you don't know the game, you don't know anything about it. The first game is about Ellie and Joel, okay? Joel loses his daughter in the beginning of the game. And then what happens is his the infection starts, the zombie apocalypse, and his daughter gets shot by a military guy because this military guy gets orders of like, hey, there's a like, you got to fucking kill anybody because everyone's infected, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, he gets shot. His daughter gets shot. She dies. Then 20 years go by. Joel has been surviving in the apocalypse with no daughter. Then he gets told to smuggle this girl who's Ellie. And he's like, nah, don't want to smuggle this girl. Fuck that shit. For obvious reasons. He's like, hey, I don't want to get close to this little girl. I got close to one other little girl, my daughter, and she died. So I don't want to go through that pain again. Understandable. Anyway, Ellie is immune to the virus. So Joel's like, don't want to take care of her, but obviously he ends up fucking taking care of her, smuggling her across country so that she can be brought to a doctor so that they can try and make a vaccine out of her immunity. Oh, okay. So then they go across country. They end up loving each other. It becomes a father-daughter type bond together. And then you get to the final place. And you get her to the hospital. And at the hospital, right before you get there, Ellie gets knocked out because she can't swim. And then you're like swimming. And then she fucking falls in the water. She gets knocked out. Anyway, it doesn't matter. What happens is you're doing CPR on her because she's all unconscious. And then a military guy comes up and is like, hey, what are you doing? Put your hands up. And then you're like, she can't breathe. Anyway, military guy knocks you out. You wake up. And the woman, Marlene, from the beginning, who sent you on this journey to smuggle her across country, she's there and she's like, yo, what's up? Can't believe you're here. And you're like, yo, bro, I can't believe I'm here either. Can I go see Ellie? And she's like, nah, we're going to go operate on her right now. And then you're like, wait, but isn't she knocked out? Why didn't you wake her up? They're like, well, we didn't wake her up because we don't want her to say no to the surgery because the surgery's going to kill her. And he's like, wait, what's up? The surgery's going to kill her? And he's like, yeah. This shit grows in your brain. So to get a cure, we got to murder your daughter. And Joel goes, hey, you're going to murder a 14-year-old girl? That's not cool. Also, I don't want her to die because, like, you know, I love her. But at the same time, you're also murdering a 14-year-old girl. Also, by the way, Joel doesn't say any of this. I'm just saying out loud the things that people seem to. Anyway, what happens with this whole thing is Joel decides, well, I'm not going to let you guys kill this little girl for the cure. So he kills everybody at the hospital and gets the little girl out. Okay, now, some people, here's the thing about that first game. It's very controversial because some people see it as, oh, he doomed humanity because there was a cure and he didn't fucking let it happen, right? But here's the thing that the game, that if you're paying attention, you're like, well, no, I mean, he did the right thing. Or there is no right answer. And I think that's what the game is saying. There's no right answer. Because here's the deal with this whole thing. Marlene didn't wake Ellie up. They could have let her wake up and decide for herself. They both could have let her wake up and decide, hey, do you want to do this cure or not? But neither of them did that. Marlene didn't let her wake up because she wanted to fucking kill the girl for the cure. And Joel didn't let her wake up because Joel didn't want Ellie to decide that she wanted to die to make the cure. They both disregarded this person's choice. Okay? So they're both in the fucking wrong. So Joel makes a choice to save her life. All right. Some people are not okay with that decision, but I was. I thought it was a good decision. Anyway, what happens is this new game starts. Abby kills Joel. You find out Abby's dad was one of the doctors, was the doctor who was going to make the cure. Which, again, he could have just stepped aside and Joel wouldn't have fucking murdered him, okay? But he was like, no, I have to kill this 14-year-old girl. Also, he doesn't know the vaccine's going to work. You know what I'm saying? Like, vaccines have trials, don't they? So they could murder Ellie, then the vaccine doesn't even work. Then Joel over here is fucked because he lost another daughter for nothing. Anyway. So we love Joel and we love Ellie. And Joel gets brutally beaten to death with a golf club by Abby. Now, I don't care what you did, okay? Like, what Joel did in the first game did not deserve him being brutally beaten to death with a golf club for someone's pleasure. Okay? Now, it would be a different thing if Abby just shot him in the head or if Abby just stabbed him. Because Joel, it's not an even distribution of violence. Like Joel, based on the game, Last of Us 2. I mean, in the first one, you could shoot him with a shotgun. You could stab him in the neck, whatever. I think in the like cinematic way to do it is like you go up, you press square, and you stab him with a scalpel. So stabbing someone with a scalpel is not even comparable to beating someone slowly with a golf club. Okay, one's clearly more fucked up and terrible. And one makes you more of a fucked up person. Anyway, so what I'm saying is like Abby is, and also Haley Gross cited the Joker as like an inspiration for the story. I read an article where she was talking about the Joker as like, oh, also the article said, I mean, she didn't say this, the writer of the article said this, but they said that Haley Gross stuck her neck out on Twitter because she said that she liked the Joker. Is that really the fucking world we live in? Where you stick your neck out because you say you like a movie? Listen, man. Movies and video games and any sort of art, the discussion should be, especially Joker, dude. It's a comic book fucking movie. Okay? I think we insert politics into a lot of this shit because it makes for more news, it makes for more clicks, it makes for more attention and more money driven to a film. That's what I think. I don't know if that's true, but I'm sick and tired of it. It shouldn't be a risk to say you like something on Twitter. Okay? It should not be perceived that way. It should be, hey, I like the Joker, and the world should go, oh, tell us why. It shouldn't be like, oh my God, you like the Joker? I might think you're a pile of shit now. Like, what the fuck are we doing? How childish is that? She stuck her neck out. Come on, man. Anyway, I feel like I'm very serious on this week's podcast. Anyway, what I'm saying is, this is why I want to make a separate video for fucking The Last of Us, and I'm still going to do it. But whatever, we're talking about it now. Anyway, Abby, so Haley Gross said she loved the Joker, and there's things about that movie that inspired her for the story in this game. So you can kind of see Abby as the Joker. She isn't one-to-one, of course. She's a different person. But like the Joker, she may have reasons for her fucked up thing that she did. But at the end of the day, she still did that fucked up thing. And she needs to be brought to justice. And in this game, she isn't. Ellie decides to forgive her instead. And I understand that the game is positing that, well, really, Ellie didn't want revenge. She just wanted to be able to forgive Joel. Because there's this whole thing where she finds out that Joel lied about stealing her from the Fireflies, who's Marlene. Because what Joel kills everybody, but then tells Ellie, like, oh, no one was there. Because he knows that she'll be upset. Because he knows that she actually wanted the cure. She wanted to sacrifice herself for the cure, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, she finds out. She gets mad at Joel. Then the game shows at the end, her and Joel talking, and her saying, like, Joel, I would like to try and forgive you. So you realize that the game is all just someone going through their trauma and realizing, like, oh, forgiveness is the only way out of her trauma, which actually, to be honest with you, is a good message for right now, because I feel like largely in our society, we lack forgiveness. So here's the thing. I like the game, and I think it's interesting, but I think that, like I said, the Joker's still a bad guy. The women and hustlers are still not good people. The gangsters and Goodfellas are still not good people. We get it. We see where they're coming from, but they still need to be taken to justice in the end. And that's how a lot of people feel about Abby. She still needs to be brought to justice, even though we sympathize with her, and I get where she's coming from. She still did some terrible shit that needs to have consequences to it. And I understand, like, oh, well, the consequences are all of her friends dead, all these things. But here's the thing. Ellie's friends died. Like, it's not, she still needs to go. Anyway, that's how I feel about the game. But here's the thing. Laura Bailey, I think, is incredible as Abby. I think she does an amazing job. I think everybody who does performances in that game are great. Okay? And this has happened throughout our history with fucking hateful characters that you hate, is that people seem to be so fucking stupid that they blend. And I don't think this is the majority of people. But for the few people that do this, or whatever number of people that do this, what the fuck are you doing? You might not even be. I might not even be able to say anything to you that will change your behavior, because you might just be. I mean, it seems like you might just be too far gone. If you didn't like Abby in the game, so you thought, let me seek out the voice actor and yell at her and insult her because she played a character I didn't like? What? That's like with fucking Nurse Ratched. There's stories of the woman who played Nurse Ratched. People would spit in her face on the street and they would yell at her because Nurse Ratched was such a fucking hateable character in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Hey, guess who she isn't really in real life? Nurse Ratched, dude. Like, what the fuck? Anyway. But yeah, but also Twitter. I don't know. I think Twitter fucks people up because Twitter, I don't know. I've been watching Neil Druckmann like throw shade at people who don't like the game, and it's like, hey man, some people legitimately don't like your game, and it's and what like what? Like you just come off like a little child, man. You come off like a little baby boy. It's weird, man. I don't know. I respect you artistically, but your Twitter presence is a little, I don't know. There's just a lot of people who act like kids on Twitter. You know? And then Haley Gross said, like, yeah, go off, King. It's like, what are you guys? You guys are in your fucking 30s, aren't you? Aren't you guys like close to 40? You're saying go off, King? What are you doing? You know? Leave that to the James Charles of the world. James Charles is young as fuck. He could say go off king and queen all he wants, okay? I'm 27, dude. And I already feel too old to say shit like go off king. Like, I think also with Twitter and with the way that the internet is, people don't understand that they have to get older. Like, I think old people have too much of an opportunity to stay in tune with younger people, so they continue to try and talk like younger people, and then you're like, hey, dude, you're old now, though. You know? Wear khakis. You're old now. It's okay. Go off, King. No, you're 37. I don't know how old she is. I'm just saying, man, like, I don't know. I think people shouldn't be on Twitter. I think if you're established and you have a career where you don't need Twitter, get off Twitter. It's only going to hurt you. Okay? If you are sensitive and you're getting angry about people not liking your game, I don't think it benefits you to fucking tweet like, oh, I'm so glad Joel is trending on Father's Day. Come on, dude. Is there any better way to think that? Is there any better way to give people a reason to think that you don't give a fuck about Joel than to be like, oh, I'm so glad that Joel is trending on Father's Day. It's like, you know why he's trending. He's trending because everyone's fucking mad that you slaughtered him. And I don't think you did that decision lightly. I don't think you did. But I think your Twitter presence makes it so that it's pretty easy for people to go, nah, this guy's just being a dick, and he purposely fucked up this character. I don't believe you did, though. I watched the spoiler cast. I think that you tried to make a powerful game with a powerful story. And I think for me and for a lot of other people, it didn't perfectly work. And I understand that, I don't know. Well, it's also hard because sometimes people are calling out people specifically, and then, I don't know. There's a lot of also just on the internet people, I don't know what the purpose of it is, but people just like lump shit together. I don't know if it's just ease of access. It's just easier to say like, oh, all the people who don't like the game are this way. Like, I don't know why people do that. Like, I don't, it's more nuanced, but nuance doesn't work well on Twitter, you know? Oh, shit. That scared the fuck out of me. Fuck, I jumped. You guys see that? All right, hold on a second. I'm gonna restart for one last thing. All right, what's up? So, okay, what I was gonna say is I don't understand why people lump people together. It's also like the people who don't like the game. They lump all of the people who like the game into this category of just like, I don't know. It's weird because this video game has become, if you hate the game, you're a homophobic, transphobic piece of shit, and if you love the game, you're a progressive, liberal, agenda-driven asshole. Like that. Those are the two perspectives on it, and I fundamentally disagree with it. And I think it's so fucking stupid. I've heard plenty of people who don't like the game at all talk about why they don't like it, and it's legitimate criticism, and it's got nothing to do with. It has to do with the main narrative, and that's it. Okay? They don't give a fuck. They like Lev. I've heard a lot of people who don't like this game. They like Lev. I'm one of them. I fucking think Lev is one of the best parts of the video game. Okay? I love seeing Ellie's relationship with Dina. I thought that was a great part of the game. I thought that was strong as fuck. I like Abby being jacked. Okay? You think I listen, dude, I played Resident Evil 2 remake and I was fucking annoyed as shit at you play as a woman in a fucking tight dress where you're like kicking people in the face and it's like, "Hey dude, none of this makes sense." I much prefer playing Abby, who's this brolic fucking woman who when she beats the fuck out of people, I believe it because she's got the body for it, man. I like her character. I like how her character looks and is created. I like the whole thing of her becoming a fucking brolic machine because of her hatred for Joel and wanting to kill him so bad. I like that. Okay? All of these things that are being placed on people who hate the game are not the reasons I don't like the game. I don't like the game because I think narratively the themes are not fully realized. I think that the ideas posed in the game become broken and flawed. I don't think you guys succeed on making me feel bad enough for Abby where I think that she should be forgiven. And that's not listen, if you guys make another game, I'll probably play it. You guys make interesting fucking games and I liked playing The Last of Us and I don't regret buying it at all. But having said that, the story in it is not good. I don't think it's good. I think it fucks up enough times to say, hey, it's a 6. And I've heard plenty of people who love this game, and that's what it is. It's like you either forgive Abby by the end, or you don't. And people who can forgive her like the end of the game, and people who can't forgive her don't like the story of the game. And that's just what it is. That's what it really is. That's where the real fucking difference of opinion comes from. All this other shit about agenda and progressivism and all that shit, like, or these dudes who are like, Abby's too brolic. All of those opinions, I don't get why we bolster them. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing I guess I'm saying about Twitter and like Neil Druckmann like putting people on blast. It's like you're boosting the opinion of people who have the shittiest take on your game. Like, why are you showcasing those people's opinions? I don't get it. Why not showcase somebody's opinion who has a legitimate criticism of your game and go and say something like, hey, I just want people to know that having criticism of this game is okay, and I know that there are people with legitimate criticism out there. Why not do that? Preserve the sanity of the conversation instead of perpetuating the insanity of it. I don't know. I don't mean to get mad. It's just annoying that there are people at the core of this having good discussion about the game, but they're getting lumped in with two shitty sides of the fucking conversation that are being amplified the most. That's the thing, too, that I worry about. We always amplify the shittiest version of the discussion. And I think all that does is perpetuate hatred and perpetuates shittiness, is because we always prop up the most extreme voices, and that makes it so that real discussion rarely happens anymore. And I think that's dangerous and strange and stupid, and for the most part, it ruins something that should be a good time, like a video game. An escape is ruined by promoting extremist fucking ideas about it. Let's fucking hear some people with measured, reasonable opinions talk about video games, talk about the content we like, and that way we can all stay sane and have a good time. Anyway, the last thing I want to say is, which I wanted to get to this whole time, but I couldn't because for some reason I decided to get all fucking serious, talk about the minutia and nuance of Twitter and politics and video games and media and bullshit. I decided to talk about all that garbage. And I never got to the point where I wanted to say, hey, dude, I'm back on the dating apps, okay? And I want to say one thing about dating apps, all right? What the fuck are people doing, dude? I downloaded Bumble again, right? And on Bumble, the woman has to message first, okay? And my profile on Bumble says, swipe right, I'll message first, which is not possible, right? And that's the joke. I'm saying I'll message you first, but I can't. I can't because it won't let me, okay? And I matched with somebody, and they messaged me, hey, you can't message first. The app won't let you. That's what they said. They said, I'm going to pull it up. She said, you technically cannot message first on Bumble. That's what she said. That's what she said, dude. That's what she said. Seriously. You technically can't message first on Bumble. I know that's the joke I'm making, dude. And also, that's the thing, too, is like, I put that thinking like, oh, the people who match with me, and I think for the most part it's this, but the people who match with me are going to be like, oh, haha, that's a funny thing. You can't message me first. That's cute. I'll swipe right. I'm assuming that's what they think for the most part. Okay? But this person, I guess, read it and went, oh, this guy's an idiot. Let me swipe right on him. What? Because she must think I'm fucking dumb if she says you technically cannot message first on Bumble. Yeah, what? Why did you swipe right then? I'm fucking dumb as shit. If you think I'm serious saying that. So then I said, because I didn't know what to say. A lot of things flooded through my mind. I was going to say, what? I was going to say, ... I was going to say, yeah, I know, I'm kidding. But I didn't want to be mean at all because even though this frustrates me and it's annoying, I was like, I don't want to be mean to this person. It's pretty innocent for her to... Also, when people don't get your joke, I don't want to... I don't like being like, yeah, I was kidding. Because then I feel like a dick. Because a person who doesn't understand your joke is kind of, too fucking dumb to get the joke. So then if you're like, yeah, it's a joke, you're kind of just shitting on someone who wasn't smart enough to know that it's a joke, Anyway, so what I came up with was I said, she said, you technically cannot message first on Bumble. And I said, wait, I can't? ... question mark? That's what I said. Because I didn't know what to say, and I don't want to be mean. So I played stupid. Okay? But again, I'm being sarcastic. So now I'm trying to see if this person... And sarcasm, I don't know. You ever notice that on dating apps, everyone's like, if you can't be sarcastic, or like, if you don't get sarcasm, we won't work, right? But then you in your mind go, why are you stressing sarcasm on a platform where it's the hardest ever to fucking tell if you're sarcastic or not? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, over text is one of the most... it's one of the most garbage places to be sarcastic because you can't... If you don't know the person and their tone of voice and how they speak in life, you got nothing to project onto their text voice. So you're just taking everything they say verbatim. So you don't know if someone's being sarcastic. Anyway, so fuck it. So I was one of those assholes who was like, let me be sarcastic, even though it doesn't translate that well, and even though this person already doesn't get my joke. So why the fuck do I think she'll understand I'm being sarcastic? So I said, wait, I can't? ? And then she goes, lol, if I don't message you first, you can't. It's okay. What's up? So now, why did she swipe right? She just thinks I'm dumb as fuck. I guess this girl just wants to date somebody stupid as shit. But here's the thing, too, is that in reality, I'm not dumb. She's dumb. But I'm not saying that in a mean way. She seems sweet as fuck because not only is she like, you're dumb. I swiped right even though this guy's dumb. So this girl was like, this guy's stupid. That's a stupid bio. But I like other aspects of him enough where I'll give him the benefit of the doubt and swipe right. And then she tells me, hey, you can't message me first. That's not how the app works. And then I sarcastically say, wait, I can't? To be like, yeah, I know, I'm kidding. And then she very politely goes, no, yeah, you can't, lol. It's okay, though. She said, it's okay. Like, it's okay that you're stupid as fuck. I'll still talk to you. What's up? Tell me what's up. Oh my god. I don't know what to do now. I guess I just won't message back. I don't know. Because now at this point, what am I supposed to say? No, yeah, I know. I was just kidding the whole time. That was a joke. She'll be like, what? It was? Okay. Why are you waiting so long to tell me it's a joke? I just can't respond. I can't. But you know what? The smart thing would be to not respond. But I'll probably just keep messaging and just fucking act like I didn't have a joke in the beginning, and then it'll die naturally. Oh man, dude, why? What the fuck is wrong with me? Anyway, I thought that was funny. I thought it was funny that it went from me thinking like, this person's stupid, they don't get my joke, to them being like, you're an idiot. It's okay though. Let's keep talking. Whatever, dude. The Last of Us says that we're all villains, and I'm here to tell you that we're all assholes, okay? We're all dumb fucking assholes. It just matters on whoever. We're all fucking stupid assholes. It all depends on a person's perspective. There you go. Okay? I agree with The Last of Us. That's what I'm saying. All right. Yeah, that's it for the podcast this week. Sorry I got so serious, but I think it was fun discussion nonetheless. I don't know. I hope you guys had a good time. I had a fun time. Thank you for listening. I love you guys, and I'll see you next week.
Jake, you're an idiot. Jake, you don't make any sense. Jake, you're a piece of shit. A piece of shit.